Good afternoon, everybody. I'm doing our regular update from the most recent Network Homes board meeting, which was on Tuesday evening, the 30th of March. It was a very long agenda, over 23 named items, so I'm only going to whip through some of the highlights for this update. To start with, we agreed the budget for next year, which achieves an operating margin of 27%. That is significantly below aspirations, but it does take account of very significant expenditure on fire safety and other essential works that are having to take priority in the budget process. So one of the things that the budget set out was what provisions were being made for pay increases in the forthcoming year, and the board has agreed a cost of living increase in line with inflation, which is 0.05%. It has also agreed an adjustment to the budgets available for performance-related pay. That's the CAD appraisal bonuses, and for people who are on contractual PRP for those sums. And I have to say that, as you're aware, that we paid the full PRP applicable last year because it related to the pre-pandemic period. But through the pandemic, there's been very significant financial pressures, and the board have agreed that although they want to pay something, we're not able to afford the full amount this year. So what they've done is capped the budget for PRP for all staff at 50% of what it was previously. There's also been a requirement from the People and Governance Committee that we are more disciplined about applying exceeds expectations categorisation to people. A normal distribution curve for an organisation of our size would see about 10% of their people in that exceeds expectations category, and Network Homes regularly is much higher than that. So we are now being asked to ensure that the bulk of our organisation hits about 10% in exceeds expectations, which will be fewer people than it has been in previous years. This is not about a lack of appreciation of the work that everybody's doing. Meets expectations is what you would expect from most people. So, you know, that is a very good rating and should be seen as such. Another important item that was discussed by the board was the question of opening board meetings up to resident attendance. And it was agreed that certainly for the next 2 meetings, as a sort of pilot, although the intention is to carry this on, board meetings will be open to residents. The agendas will not be manufactured in a way that there's a lot of private business. Occasionally there will have to be private business if there are commercially sensitive items to discuss, but the intention is that all the discussions at the board, as much of the discussion that the board has as possible, is played out in the public domain. The intention of this is not mass engagement. We're not expecting mass attendance, although of course we could be wrong. But it is to demystify how the board operates and to demonstrate how decisions get taken in an organisation such as Network, and it is part of our programme of activity towards building trust and confidence in the organisation, but better trust and confidence from residents. As I said, that will start from the May board meeting. There will be 2 initially run on that basis, but our intention, unless it goes really badly, is to continue that for the future. We also agreed the business plan, the 30-year business plan, which will be submitted to the regulator for social housing in June. That sets out our development plans and where we expect to be spending money over the next 30 years. At the moment, it contains an allocation of £60 million for retrofitting homes to improve their energy efficiency. And although the number varies on fire safety, a similar allocation, or indeed even bigger allocation, to deal with fire safety remediation in the stock. Clearly, these are massive calls on Network's resources, and they are causing consequential, decisions to be taken in other areas, including around planned maintenance. However, all our health and safety activities are fully funded, and we are fully funded to maintain the decent home standard for all our homes. And there is a further review of stock condition information and provision for maintenance planned over the next several months. I think the final couple of things that I'll mention for the purposes of this update is about the charitable fund. A paper went to the board about whether the charitable fund, which at the moment is in essence a budget available to network staff to spend assisting people in need, be actually constituted as a fully formed charity with its own board of directors. It has been decided against doing that, and the reason is the very significant amount of work and cost attributable to setting up a charity. So we were looking at costs of £30,000 to £40,000 set up when the fund itself is £100,000 a year, and it seemed disproportionate to expend that kind of money. So what was agreed was that we would maintain the charitable fund as a sort of spending line in networks budgets, but what we would do is allow any unspent funds to roll over from one year to the next, so that if there is a sort of, a surplus in the fund at the end of the year, it tops the fund up for the following year. We also considered our procurement plan for the forthcoming year, which contains several very big procurements around fire safety and remediation. And we considered our value for money report, which set out what we have achieved in the current financial year. And we have achieved some savings. We were able to make our targets principally because we sold a gilt that was very profitable, but we have also made some savings, but it is an area that we're going to have to return to in the forthcoming year. And of course, the board, as at every meeting, received a health and safety report, which showed very good levels of compliance across all our key areas of health and safety maintenance activity, and improving record on all incidents, including staff wellbeing. As I said, there were a lot of other items for discussion, and it was a very long agenda. The meeting, including the pre-meeting, which had a sort of training element, ran for 4 solid hours. So by the time it was done, we were all pretty tired. And yes, those were the highlights for this time.